Hello, everyone in English 431. This is Chris Sans beard. I have trimmed it back. My students, my children, and my wife are already starting to complain, so I probably have to regrow it. I also shave my head, but I do that on a regular basis. So, enough about me. How are you all doing? We're getting close to spring break here, and I'm hoping to receive your papers. I will walk through the process of writing the papers, submitting them to me via Google Docs, maybe doing some peer critique too, because you all, in a class like this, English 431, where we're learning to work with writers and with writing, we shouldn't miss an opportunity to look at each other's writing and apply the same kinds of techniques that we're learning about. So look for a video coming up very soon about how that process might go and some materials that can help us through that process. First things though, let's talk about what's going to be happening this week. I will share my screen. So here we are in more bad ideas. First, I've got to say, holy moly, the bad ideas about writing stuff that you did last week for week 5 was just so cool. You did such amazing stuff. I wanted to point out a couple of the things. Austin, man, you're just killing it. Austin says in this piece on what rhetoric is, synonymous with empty speech. Austin says, I feel like this is the ultimate takeaway about rhetoric. Anyone can manipulate language to reflect the reality or viewpoint of theirs because of their own motives, whether consciously or unconsciously. This is probably how the big misconception about rhetoric was created. So, people lying about rhetoric were using rhetoric themselves. Austin, amazing work. We go back to some of the other comments. Alex, early on, man, does the 5-paragraph essay format from 7th grade get so boring and almost frustrating. We could probably almost go further than that to suggest that it's a format that's psychologically students are loath to get rid of. That is, they start imagining the Aristotelian 3 reasons for everything as a main or universal way to communicate, and then are probably very, very frustrated when they have to give it up in college. There may be some professors who really want a 5-paragraph essay, but for the most part, I think a lot of people ask students to move beyond it. But the problem is they don't give students explicit training on how to move beyond it. Then a final comment. Travis, in a series of fascinating comments, in this part of bad ideas, really was doing a really nice job taking apart the idea of rhetoric as meaning making. Robert Scott in the 1950s called it epistemic, that is knowledge making or meaning making. How do I know what I think till I see what I say is a common and very glib way to put it. We may not know our particular motivations, we may not know our particular insights into the world until we can frame them in language. So it's more than just clothing on the body. It is part and parcel of the body itself. It's more than just the icing on the cake. So Travis is getting at that with this comment right here. And I think that that's fascinating. Just very, very cool. So good job, everybody. I'll just note that here is the collection of all the conversations that are happening. And note this, here's what's starting to occur. You all are getting into later parts of the book, and I appreciate that. These are all new comments. So I can see exactly where people's attentions are and energy is, and that is just fantastic. I'm really enjoying working in Perusal, and especially the time that you are spending in it is just working really well for me. And I hope for you all as well. I'm going to stop sharing really quickly. I will turn us to the tentative schedule. So you'll note that what we're doing in week 6 is we're continuing with our work on bad ideas. Whereas the first couple sections of the book, bad ideas about what good writing is, and bad ideas about who good writers are, were our attention last week. This week, we're going to get into other kinds of issues, those related to bad ideas about style, usage, and grammar. It's always the thing. If someone sees me, I'm at a party or cocktail party, or do people go to cocktail parties anymore? I'm at somebody's house, or I meet a stranger, or I'm on a plane, which may happen sometime in the future, but certainly not this year. What do? I teach writing. Oh, I got to watch my grammar around you. Several people have noted that this has happened to them, just as English or English education students. Fascinating that people's common perception of what writing is so focused on correctness and grammar. And that is, of course, one of the things that we are working with in this course. Students come to us and say, I want you to look over my grammar. Now, they may mean grammar. They may literally have taken a course in grammar in the past and thought to themselves, I need grammatical help. It's not usage, it's syntax that I'm talking about. It is not punctuation, it is literally grammar. But they could also mean any aspect of the writing process, and they frankly might just want their errors caught. We want to do more than that. We want to help them see their draft in the broadest possible way, and to give them options for revising that could lead to better, fuller, more complete, more interesting, more engaging, more inquisitive drafts. So grammar, style, usage, and grammar, teasing those apart. Bad ideas there. And then finally, bad ideas about genre. Genre, the formal categories into which we put writing, and the endless possibilities for remixing or reusing those categories. Up until recently, how one started a letter, a formal letter to a person one didn't know, was to say, to whom it may concern. Modern day genre study involves far more than just the literary containers into which we put things, like a short story, a novel, a poem, even a sonnet. What people are talking about when they talk about a white paper in business, or a lab report in biology, or other kinds, a soap report in nursing. I think it's a soap report. Soap notes, I think, are standardized or fixed for now categories of communication, ways of communication that enable certain kinds of work to take place in certain kinds of contexts. Academic genres may not have that same kind of ecology around them, but at the same time, they are interesting because they do follow formalized rules and conventions about who the author is, what information gets transmitted, and how the formatting of the piece might be, what its goal is, what even the tone of the piece might need to be. By engaging in these genres, we change them. So what we are hoping then through this process is to learn more about the popular perceptions of writing and writers that may face us as we work in these different kinds of internship contexts or in the Writing Center in the future. Moving ahead then, you're being tutored paper. I want to make sure that what you do is you share that paper. That is week 7. I'm hoping that you're very much in the process of writing it right now. And I've released a few videos, at least one, that's, I'm hoping, useful for you as you're starting to do this kind of work. Hit me up by email if you have any questions, and we can set up a Zoom appointment or other kinds of things like that. But in another video that I'll probably post to this website this week, I will guide you through the process of how we're going to work with the papers once they're in draft form, because I would love for us to read and respond to each other's papers, and for you to revise them based on the peer critiques, peer responses you receive. Okay, enough for now. Bad ideas, fun readings, and fun conversations. Thank you.